Hello, sir. Good evening to you. Can you hear me?
Yes, yes. It's been an
Finally.
interesting. It's been an interesting, interesting. As you can see, I've nearly pulled my beard out.
Man, the technologies these days, as good as they are, sometimes they can
Yeah,
be so frustrating,
yeah,
especially in times of emergency like that. I'm
yes,
glad you
yes,
made it. I was planning to bring you on by calling you on the program later tonight. So,
yes,
sir,
yes.
meet my friends. This is Mayegun's Diary Politico, and we are honored to have you as our contact point, starting from the Ilana Oduduwa in the UK. Sir, would you mind telling us about yourself to my audience, please?
Okay. I don't normally like to boast, as it were, but I'm an orthopedic surgeon.
Fantastic.
I I suppose in Yoruba, ẹni tó ń tọ́jú àwọn tó ní làkúrègbé.
Mm.
I repair broken knees. I have developed my own artificial knee. I was interested in knee ligaments, so I used to treat sportsmen who damaged their knees. I was also interested in how bones heal when they break
Mm.
and how they develop in the womb. So that's the sort of research that I was doing. I was an academic. I was a senior lecturer in a university in the UK. I also have a qualification in law. I used to sit on tribunals in the UK as what they call a judicial office holder, which is to some extent similar to a judge. You sit there, you listen to what lawyers are saying and what patients are saying, and so on and so forth, and you make your decision. Uh, I really became interested or involved in what we are doing 2010 20. I don't know if anybody recognizes that date, 2010 20. That was NSAS, when police opened fire on innocent young people.
Young people.
And what that incident did was it took me back to 1971 when I was at UI, when during a demonstration, similar demonstration on the campus, a friend of mine was shot by the police and killed, Kunle Adepeju. And I suddenly asked myself, if this happened in 1971, 50 years ago, and it is still happening in Nigeria, then that country is such a barbaric country that it did not deserve to exist. So I then wrote a petition to the UN, to the Secretary General of the UN.
Right.
And when I was about to post the letter, my daughter then asked me if she could read it, and so she read it, and then she said to me, "Well, nobody actually knows you. That it would be interesting if you could get many more people interested in this." So I asked, "How can I do that?" And then she said, "Why don't you join Twitter?" So I joined Twitter, and since then I've written over 15,000 tweets in 1 year. I tweet every day. I write essays. I write little bits. I do quizzes on Yoruba words because I'm fascinated by Yoruba words. I'm a Yoruba nationalist. I'm a Yoruba traditionalist, and I don't apologize for that at all. I've written 2 books on the Yoruba. I wrote one on Yoruba medicine, and I wrote one on Yoruba law. What I wanted to prove when I wrote the book on Yoruba law was that Yoruba law was the equivalent of any law anywhere in the world. That the way that the Yoruba organized their civil law, civil legal system is as good as anywhere in the world. And then subsequently, I also became fascinated in what I call the constitutional Oba. I became fascinated in the way that the Yorubas governed themselves.
Mm.
And it seemed to me that that is probably the way that the Yorubas governed themselves was probably the best way you could govern a nation anywhere in the world. Because the way that the Yorubas governed themselves never produced a tyrant, did not produce any war until the Europeans came. You know, people talk about Okiriji War, all this war. They all happened in the 1800s after the Europeans started meddling in our affairs. Before then, there was never any war. We did not fight each other. We lived harmoniously. We didn't have tyrants as kings. And that fascinated me. So I asked myself, what is it? How did they organize themselves in such a way that development was uniform, everything was peaceful? Uh, and so that brings me to the present, because I was writing a lot of things on Twitter. I was I then used to take part in what they call Twitter Space, where you turn up, you say your piece, people ask you questions. Anyway, slowly then somebody asked me to join Ilana, and I said I'm not interested in joining any groups. I am a writer, and what a writer does, a writer is you have conversation with yourself.
That's right.
That's what you do as a writer. That I'm used to conversing with myself, taxing my own brain. I didn't want to join any organization, so I ended up agreeing, because it was only going to cost. The guy kept gnawing at me again and again. It was only going to cost me £5. So what's the problem? So I paid £5 and joined Ilana. And that's how I left it until somebody, an executive member of Ilana, then called me one day and said, we have a problem in the group in London, complain about everybody else. So I said, okay, I will speak to the people you've complained about and see what they have to say. So I spoke to the people that he complained about, they complained about him, and then told them, I said, the two groups, go and work this out. You are the leaders. You shouldn't be asking the Mekuno to try and sort this problem for you. Go and think about it, talk to each other. But they didn't. So in the end, the Ilana in the UK was dissolved.
Right.
And then a group of some members of the group then asked me if I could convene a meeting and try to get them to reorganize. And that's how I ended up being the coordinator.
Amazing.
And this is a couple of months ago. And when we took over, we had a blank sheet of paper.
I was coming to that part, sir. It's interesting, the background of yourself you just gave us, and it's also an interesting journey, a one that we can say is in fact, abstract. However, you have been in charge for a few months. I came across you on Twitter. In fact, I actually thought it was one young man. Because you were so, like you said, you've tweeted 15,000 tweets in a year alone. And 100% of these tweets are mostly, as a writer, you said, talking to yourself, asking yourself questions that other people got interested in. That's what I got interested in. I've also been looking, and not just myself, a lot of Yorubas in the UK. We have been, like yourself, we have been following the development back home. And we have also seen the, the incapability of our people. Let me put it this way, like the weakness of our people back home when it comes to standing up for this, what Yoruba truly represents, that was taken away from us. So for the past few months, you have been around, and you must have possibly, you said you were told to reconvene, and we have been looking for a contact ourselves. So in the last few months that you've been in charge, how would you say it? What would you say the response has been? I mean, you've spoken to a few people, if not many, and you've convened meetings as well. Just give us an idea what it's been like.
Okay.
You became the
Uh,
Mhm.
okay. The word that I was looking for towards the end of what
Mm.
I said earlier was, I don't, whether it's kadara or kadara or whatever it is you call it. That is
Kadara.
kadara.
Definitely.
That is when something's been written,
Mhm.
you just, you are minding your own business, going along nicely. When something is written, that's the way it is. And actually, most of my life has been exactly like that, where I've just found myself. I mean, it's the same way I ended up on the as a member of the General Medical Council here in England.
Mm.
You know, just one thing led to another, and before I knew it, I was sitting on the GMC. So, but what has encouraged me is that since I started a couple of months ago, a lot of people have really rallied round. A lot of people have invited me to speak on one platform or another. I've really enjoyed a lot of support that I never thought I would ever. I mean, my Twitter followers now are nearly 4,000.
Amazing.
Um, and I mean, I've been really very moved by the response that people have had to me personally.
Yeah, you said you have an approach that you believe will help us.
Mm.
The first one is that you need us to come together, talking about the numbers of Yorubas in the UK,
Okay.
right? You said if we can have a fraction of that coming together to discuss the
Okay.
issue concerning Yoruba land,
Okay.
political, security, economy, education, and all that, that you can launch what can be a better approach
Okay.
towards the Yoruba nation that will be impactful in a short while. So
Okay.
let's talk about that.
Okay.
How,
Okay.
or what should I say? The plan
Okay.
is how can we galvanize? Let's talk about that. Sorry.
Okay. Let me step back a bit.
Right.
Okay. There are estimated 120,000 Yoruba in London. I mean, there are Yoruba people everywhere. I mean, every city that you go to in this country, there are Yoruba people everywhere. But in London, there are at least 120,000 of us. That is the equivalent of 2 parliamentary seats. Right?
I'm with you, sir.
Now, the Jews have roughly the same number as we have in London, 120,000. Now, guess how many Jewish MPs? At one stage, the Jews had 24 MPs. How many MPs do we have as Yoruba? 1. Same number of people. And in some places, the Jews and the Yorubas overlap in some areas of London. Yet, at one stage, they had 24 MPs. And we've had 1. Now, so you start asking yourself, I mean, what's going on here? And people might think that, this is, I'm just talking nonsense. I'll tell you.
No, you are not. I actually get where you're going. And, sir, you'll be surprised that majority actually get where you are going.
Okay.
Our numbers are not. Go on. I'll let you finish,
Okay.
please. Go on.
Let me just tell you what the Jewish MPs do. They form an Israeli lobby, and that's in and out of parliament. There's a lobby. They're everywhere. That lobby supports Israel, whatever the government does. They may criticize the government, but the Israeli government can count on their support. This Israeli lobby, they have their grips, their tentacles, their vice in the Western world because of their numbers, because they utilize their numbers. The Jewish voice in the UK is disproportionate to their numbers. Completely disproportionate to their numbers. So the question that that we have to ask ourselves, which is a very, very important question, is this: how do we get political power like the Jews? Because, I mean, if you go to the NHS, whether it's doctor, whether it's nurse, tó bá ní o lọ sí underground, àwa náà ní ticket collector. We are everywhere, and yet we are nowhere. So you're asking yourself, how can you be everywhere and yet you are nowhere? And that's because we really don't understand what political power is. Political power is the ability to influence the outcome. Influence ni political power, influence. It allows a group like the Jews to control events, to control policies. Real power means having power over decision makers. Pé tí MP bá dé àárín àwọn ọmọ Yorùbá, he'll be quaking. He will be quaking because he knows that there's power there. That's what real power is. Kì í ṣe pé individuals, we are doctors, we are lawyers, we are successful, we are so on and so forth. The thing is this, that it is organization that provides the power base for individuals. You have to organize. That it is the organization that provides a power base for the individual.
No.
You can't do it yourself. You need an organization, and that is where join. I'm just trying to make sure that you can see me properly with the light.
We can, and we are actually enjoying you, sir.
Okay. This is where organizations like Ilana come in. That no matter what you say about people, whatever it is you want, the fact of the matter is that you need an organization to have power. And that is where, as far as I'm concerned now, Ilana comes in. And what Ilana is that it's a self-determination group. That's all Ilana is. Well, at home, we have problems. How can we influence the problems at home? You can't do it as an individual. So and so forth. But in order to influence what is happening in Nigeria, we have to organize. We have to be in organization. And just close your eyes a minute and just think, if the Yorubas had 24 MPs in London, agbára yẹn, just imagine 24 MPs, can it 24 MPs? Or even
that are also, sir, we are sir. That's those 24 MPs that are pro-Yoruba, not pro-Nigeria British.
Exactly. I will come to that in a minute.
Okay, sir.
I'll come to that in a minute. There are people who, when we talk about Nigeria, there are people who, I'm trying to choose my words because I'm not sure that one can blame somebody who's pro-Nigeria because he was born in Nigeria, he's lived his life in Nigeria, that's all he knows. And one of the things you find when you study abusive relationships, where a wife or a child is abused, because they don't know any better, they stay in that condition. It's not that they're mad or they're stupid or whatever. It's just that's what you've always known, and therefore that is what you accept. But when you start asking people, what is it that Nigeria can offer you that, say, Yoruba nation can't offer you? There's nothing. Because, and sometimes you think Well, Kilo, why? What is the matter with people that they can't reason? Because, for example, it is better for Nigerians to have 4, 5, 6 countries competing on the world stage than one country. Look at it. Barbados is half a million. They have half a million population. They
Mm,
have exactly the same political clout as Nigeria. In the UN, for example, they have one vote. Nigeria has one vote. Now
mm,
imagine if Nigeria had 4 countries. That's 4 votes.
mm,
So even from the point of view, what is it the advantage of we to us as Black people? If you look at it, Africa has 52 countries, right?
yes, sir.
If you fit all the other continents fits into Africa, all the other, when you look at the map of the world, Africa looks small. That is image that they portray to us. But actually, when you look at the landmass and you take all the other continents and you stick it into Africa, it fits. That is,
Mm,
we are bigger than the whole lot. And yet we only have 52 countries. Africa can accommodate another 50 countries without any problems at all
mm,
because of the size of Africa. But when you look at the map, it looks like it is the equivalent of, say, China. China fits into Africa.
mm,
So this is the problem, that when you ask, it's very difficult intellectually to understand anybody, who insists that this country should remain as one, when in actual fact, for the benefit of Nigerians themselves, for the benefit of Nigeria, it is better if Nigeria broke up.
mm.
For the
You know what?
benefit.
You know what, sir? You were saying something. So before I apologize again, okay?
No, no, no,
Before
no, no,
I
please,
put
it's a
that up,
conversation.
you were saying something about the influence of coming together on a platform of an organization, right? You were saying something about MPs in the UK and all that. I would love you to finish that before we take a break, sir.
Okay. Remember what I said about the Jews,
Yes, sir.
how they are powerful,
Mm,
and their power is political. They're organized.
mm,
They get themselves. Even if just take Jeremy Corbyn makes a slight dig at the Jews, see what trouble he got into.
mm,
See the trouble and he was investigated. They threw out Kilorko Mayor of London, Ken Livingstone.
mm,
Remember, they threw him out of the Labour Party for being anti-Semitic.
mm. That's true, sir.
How many times Arabi Timbua? How many times people insult you?
Mm,
How many times ni want to talk rubbish? Cameron was in the Buckingham Palace saying Nigerians are corrupt.
mm,
We didn't do anything. Nobody said anything
mm,
because we have no power.
mm,
What Cameron said, he couldn't say that, and the Jews will keep quiet. No, that is what power is. And we need to start. Part of the things that I try to tell people is this:
mm.
when you have large numbers, for example, if Ilana Ilana had 20,000 Yoruba in Ilana,
Mm.
just imagine what we can do with that number in this country.
Yeah, in the UK.
Just imagine if Ilana had, out of the 120,000 Yoruba, I'm sorry, but 20,000 members of Ilana. Imagine what power.
Mm.
Imagine what power that will give us in this country. We haven't left anywhere. This is the sort of thing that the Indians do. I don't know if you are going to a break. I can quickly tell you some.
Yeah, I'm going to go on a short break, a quick one. We usually don't, but because I'm enjoying this, and sometimes it's good to have a short break, sir. Okay. So when I come back, or let me say when we come back, sir, we are going to talk about what can we do to get the Yorubas in the UK to grab this opportunity where we can build a strong political platform here in the UK. Not that we are actually joining political, where have you, but I get the message, sir. I will be back in a minute or two.
Malamala. Mo bojú ayé o, ayé ṣá malamala. Malamala. Mo bojú ayé o, ayé ṣá malamala. Mo máa bójú ọ̀run òkùnkùn ló ṣubúlẹ̀. Mo máa bójú ọ̀run òkùnkùn ló ṣubúlẹ̀. Mo ní ẹ̀ẹ́rẹ́ yìí o. Kíni dé sí Yorùbá o ọmọ aráyé, kíni ṣẹlẹ̀ sí Yorùbá o ọmọ Oduduwa o. Yeyeyeyeyeyeye àwa máa ṣe ọ̀rọ̀ là ń bẹ. Yorùbá ń ṣera wọn nítorí owó, Yorùbá ń jìra wọn lẹ́sẹ̀ nítorí ipò. Wọ́n gbẹ̀bí fáláre, wọ́n gbáre pẹ́lẹ́bí, wọ́n kò lè kó wájà, wọ́n tún kó lóko wá mú. Ọgbọ́n tí wọ́n gbọ́n ló gbé wọn délé ọlá, ọgbọ́n náà ló tún padà wá sílé wọn mọ́lẹ̀ o. Àwọn tí wọ́n ti ń ṣọ̀gá lọ́jọ́ tó ti pẹ́ tún padà wá dẹni à ń fọwọ́ ti sẹ́yìn o. Yóò Yorùbá yoyoyo bí iná alẹ́, Yorùbá rúrúrú bí omi òkun, Yorùbá bàbá ni bàbá ń ṣe. Yóò Yorùbá ronú o. Yorùbá sọra wọn di bọ́ọ̀lù fáráyé gbá. Wọ́n bá gbá wọn sókè, wọ́n tún gbá wọn sísàlẹ̀ o. Ẹ̀yà tí ó ti kéré tẹ́lẹ̀ ni wọ́n gé kúrú. Àwọn tí àìfẹ́ lọ́sùn ti dẹni àtijọ́, Yorùbá jókòó sílẹ̀ rẹ̀gẹ̀dẹ̀ wọn fọwọ́ lọ́wọ́. Bí àgùntàn tí abọ́ rẹ̀ ń gbòrìṣà ilẹ̀ o. Yóò Yorùbá ronú o. Oríkì màí burú títí kó bógún ọdún lẹ́yìn òkùnkùn bèrèbèrè ìmọ́lẹ̀ yàtọ̀ o. Ẹ jẹ́ ká pọ̀ Olódùmarè ká pọ̀ Balùwàyé káyé wa lè dùn ní ìgbẹ̀yìn ìgbẹ̀yìn lálàyò ilẹ̀ mọ́ pé ìyá o. Ilẹ̀ dákun gbà wá o ilẹ̀ o. Ilẹ̀ ọ̀gẹ́rẹ́ àfọkọ́yẹ rí. Ilẹ̀ alákòókà ó tẹ́ rèrè kábì. Ilẹ̀